Or how confident are you that you're going to get approval?
Well, something has changed. So we had put in a number of times a filing, and we were just denied. Never got any questions, really never got any response. This time, this summer, we got questions back from the SEC. Now, normally when you get questions from the SEC, you're just saying, oh my goodness. We were thrilled to get questions back because it means they're engaged now. That's January 10th is the final deadline. Mm-hmm. They've been able to push it. It's very orchestrated. Push it, but the final, they either approve or deny on January 10th.
Cathie Wood operates an unconventional asset management firm, serving as the founder and CEO of ARK Invest, a Florida-based investment management company specializing in actively managed exchange-traded funds centered around disruptive innovation. ARK Invest has identified and currently emphasizes 5 innovation platforms deemed the most impactful. These platforms include robotics, energy storage, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and multiomics sequencing. In collaboration with the well-known financial technology company 21 Shares, ARK Invest is set to launch several cryptocurrency-based exchange-traded fund products. Notably, the most anticipated offerings are their spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, pending approval from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. After months of negotiations and periods of suspense, Cathie Wood is pleased to announce a notable shift in the SEC's stance toward crypto asset-based spot ETFs, particularly for Bitcoin. As the January 10th deadline approaches, Wood, a renowned hedge fund manager, is confident that the cryptocurrency industry is on the verge of securing approval for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Wood further asserts that it's not just one but multiple spot Bitcoin ETFs that are likely to receive approval simultaneously. This approach aims to ensure fairness among all firms that have submitted applications to the SEC. In a recent interview with Yahoo Finance, Wood discussed the SEC's change in attitude and its implications for pending applications. She also shared insights on Bitcoin, referring to it as the global monetary system. According to Wood, the current monetary system is in disarray, and only Bitcoin has the potential to restore discipline and rigor, making the system better, safer, and more rewarding, especially for the average person. Stay tuned for clips from Cathie Wood's interview, ensuring you don't miss any details, including updated and intriguing price predictions for Bitcoin.
Well, our focus always, from the beginning, has been on disruptive innovation, and we believe that blockchain technology is one of the most disruptive innovation platforms evolving today. I think we've interviewed, or I've interviewed with you a number of times, so you know it's robotics, energy storage, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and multiomic sequencing. So it's one of the 5 major platforms we've been focused on since the beginning of ARK. We celebrate our 10th year anniversary in January. We took our first exposure in Bitcoin when it was $250 in 2015, and we wrote a paper back then. And we knew we wanted to be involved back then. And actually, prior to that, the director of research and I at another firm had been focused on it. This is the first global, digital, private, rules-based monetary system in history. It's a very big idea. When we wrote the paper in collaboration with Art Laffer, you know Art Laffer, supply-side economics, Laffer curve, he said, I've been waiting for this since they closed the gold window in 1971. So he's been waiting 50 years for this, right? And he's so excited about everything crypto, but especially Bitcoin, because he believes, and it is true, monetary policy around the world is unhinged. It's not hinged to anything except human decision-making. And this is going to put discipline, rigor, back into
these particular products you're talking about.
Well, Bitcoin is, the monetary system is Bitcoin. And so, yes, why now for these? We've been working with 21 Shares since I met Ophelia at an ETF confab in 2018. They had really just started their business. And I said, you know, we want to move towards crypto. You are completely crypto. They were focused on the infrastructure, the regulations, really blazing a trail. They had to invent things in order to make this happen. And we knew that was not our core competency. And so we did start talking. Our core competency is research on disruptive innovation, and they do research. They do deep technical research on the market. Our research is on the disruptive innovation that it represents. And we've just been coming together for 5 years. It was a natural for us to come together. They are, or 21 Shares is the largest crypto ETP provider in the world, $1.5 billion. They have 35 different funds, most of them in Europe, in and around Europe. They were looking for a US entree, and we were looking for infrastructure, and we're just delighted to be partnering with them, given how much groundwork they had to lay for this to happen. Now, we have met a number of the research people at the SEC on the research side, and they are extremely sophisticated. They know what they're talking about, and the level of sophistication of their questions suggested, okay, now they're moving deeply into this. And we answered those questions. We have not heard back. That's a good sign too. They never tell you that you've satisfied them, but if you don't hear from them, that usually means that you have satisfied the answers to the requests. So that was new, and we also know that BlackRock got questions. We put our answers in first. I think they have followed, and I'm not sure about anyone else. That was different, and it says, okay, there's movement, and we are the first in line. Just because we kept refiling, others gave up. And so, but we just kept refiling. And we became first in line. So David against Goliath, right? And that's January 10th is the final deadline.
The SEC initially postponed its decision on ARK Invest's application for a spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund on August 11th. Approximately 8 weeks later, on September 26th, the regulatory body announced an extended timeline for evaluating whether to approve or disapprove a proposed rule change enabling the operation of ARK 21 Shares Spot Bitcoin ETF. Granting itself an additional 60 days, the SEC set a final deadline for January 10, 2024, exactly 240 days after ARK and 21 Shares filed their applications. On this date, the SEC must declare its decision on ARK's Spot Bitcoin ETF application, with no further extensions. Despite this, there have been multiple reports suggesting that, in an effort to avoid favoritism, the SEC may greenlight 8 to 10 ETF filings currently under consideration anytime between now and January 10th. Aligning with these reports, predictions indicate a very high likelihood that this scenario will materialize on or before January 10th. Now, returning to the interview, the ARK Invest executive expands on ETF applications, Bitcoin, and how the approval of ETFs will positively impact the broader cryptocurrency industry.
They've been able to push it. It's very orchestrated. Push it, but the final, they either approve or deny on January 10th. And,
what do you think?
Well, again, I mentioned something has changed.
Right.
That's good. The odds have gone up. There is only one wrinkle, just occurred to us in the last couple of days. They will approve a number at once. It won't be just one. That would be choosing a winner, given the way ETFs work. But we know Grayscale wants to convert to an ETF. I don't know how practical that is, or if the SEC will let them, or if they need a special dispensation. I just don't know the rules. Grayscale has said it will sue the SEC again if it denies the conversion. If they were to do that before January 10th, I don't know if that would throw everything up in the air again. I just
for
don't
the
know.
others as well.
For everyone.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. So if we look at the reasons that Bitcoin will scale, so our base case is today $600,000 to $650,000, and our bull case, based on the scarcity that is now developing, we're at roughly 19.5 million Bitcoin out there. There will only be 21 million ever, and we do believe that. If the SEC blesses a Bitcoin ETF, institutions will feel like the coast is clear for them to pursue. And we know a lot of institutions have been researching crypto assets for a while and do agree that it is a new asset class. Bitcoin was the first in a new asset class. We wrote a paper in 2000, I think it was 16, ringing the bell for a new asset class. Mm-hmm. And our director of digital assets said to me, "Do you realize that happened today? We rang the bell for a new asset class." I said, "Oh, I didn't make that connection." Anyway, so institutions understand when there is a new asset class, it's there's an opportunity to diversify and increase returns per unit of risk. That's very important. They've also learned that Bitcoin in particular can be a hedge against both inflation and deflation. Everyone understood the inflation part of it because right now it's pretty much considered like digital gold, a hedge against inflation. But we learned something very important during the March regional bank crisis. What happened to Bitcoin then? Now, that was risk off and a deflationary vibe about it, right? Banks going bankrupt. Bitcoin went from 19,000 to almost 30,000, up 50%. What was that? That was proof of concept that it's a hedge against deflation too. What can cause deflation in a financial crisis? It's counterparty risk. You don't know what is on the books of the banks and which ones are going to go bankrupt and which ones aren't. So there's a seizing up. So, just get away from that. Move into an ecosystem where there is no counterparty risk. That is Bitcoin, completely decentralized, completely transparent, and no counterparty risk. So I think more people are beginning to understand that, sure, it's a risk-on asset, but it's also a risk-off asset. And gold has some of that, but Bitcoin has that on steroids, I would say.
Share your thoughts on Cathie Wood's insightful remarks about Bitcoin and her bold $600,000 price prediction for the leading cryptocurrency by commenting below. Meanwhile, the SEC has disclosed yet another delay. On Wednesday, the agency announced the postponement of its decision on Hash, one of the three firms facing a deadline on Friday, November 17, 2023. Hash had applied to convert its Bitcoin futures fund into a spot ETF, and the evaluation will continue until January 1st, the revised deadline for the application. Additionally, on Thursday, the Commission revealed the deferment of its decision on Grayscale's application for an E3 ETF until January 1, 2024. Verdicts on Global X and Franklin Templeton applications are still pending, with the expectation of potential delays. However, January could bring significant changes, as the SEC is anticipated to announce a series of approvals. Share your perspectives on Cathie Wood's interview and Bitcoin predictions by leaving your comments and observations in the comments section below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these two awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.